So I was just going to add on to that. It is really fun though when we do combine and layer our voices into this blob, and it's a very unique thing as well that we couldn't have done in our own projects. So
hello, thank you all for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Of course. My name's Adam, and this is about the three of you and your journey in music, and we'll talk about the band and the new song.
Amazing. Sounds good.
Cool. Why don't you introduce yourselves so we know who everybody is?
Yeah, I'm Jade.
Hi, I'm Miranda.
I'm Lauren.
Awesome. Jade, Miranda, and Lauren. Nice to meet you all. Well, let's start with you, Jade. Where were you born and raised? Are you all from the same area?
I'm from Melbourne.
Okay.
And I grew up with a musical family. It's ABBA tribute band, which my family sometimes perform in together, which was really fun to grow up with all that sort of music in the house, and used to make up all these gibberish songs with my dad, and that sort of led to songwriting and top lining, and that's where I grew up.
Wow. So
I am from
oh, sorry, I was gonna just comment on that. You come from you said your parents were in an ABBA cover band or tribute band?
Yes. As Benny and Frida, they started the group together, and Mum auditioned Dad, and they were playing Benny and Frida, which is that whole fun art imitating life, or the other way around.
That's amazing. And then, so is that what got you into music? Like, where did you start? Like, what was the first instrument you learned?
Guitar was the first instrument I learned, and probably the main instrument I wrote songs on for a long time through like school. And then I started experimenting with production. My dad's a producer and really sort of encouraged me to learn a lot about that side of things. And I was very lucky to hop in the studio with him and sort of just sit at his feet watching and like learn a lot about production. And then I started producing my own stuff and recording and becoming obsessed with vocal arrangement and vocal recording. And then I just started writing songs and top lining for people. And
wow, so you've been like in this for sounds like pretty much your whole life. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think all of us have had a bit of time we've spent grinding with our own projects and writing for other people too, and just was the perfect time to come together in all our.
Did you all know each other beforehand, before the group started?
Yeah, we knew each other. So Lauren and I are not from Melbourne. I grew up in a tiny little country town in Queensland in the middle of nowhere. And I grew up as a classical violinist. And then,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I've been, doing music in one way or another since I was like 5 years old. And then when I went to high school, I kind of decided to rebel against the classical world by picking up a guitar and writing some really bad punk music. And then, I moved to Brisbane, and that's where I met Lauren. We did some gigs together with our solo project. And then over the next few years, we both ended up moving to Melbourne. And we kind of like reconnected there and did some writing sessions. And then Lauren also knew Jade just through production sessions and writing, and she was like, these two girls will really get along. I'm going to arrange marriage them into a writing session together. So it's all because of you.
Oh, wow. So you said you started playing violin at 5. Do you come from a musical household as well, or was that just something your parents thought you'd be interested in?
Yeah, well, I guess, my parents used to be in a duo together as well before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're super musical. They never made it their like main career. My mum's a music teacher, but my dad would always like sing and play the guitar, and I really wanted to play guitar, but my hands were too small. So he took me to the music shop and he was like, what can you actually play? And it was just like this tiny little violin that I could press the strings down on. So, but my parents were really, really musical and kind of liked a lot of like old vintage music from the 50s and the 60s, and I feel like that's a lot of the first stuff that I grew up on in terms of pop music, like apart from the classical side of things. It's just a lot of like, yeah, really amazing harmonies and just like great pop songwriting. And yeah.
Was there something that made you like, do you remember wanting to start playing guitar? And I mean, you said you played kind of like you wrote punk songs. Was that's like the total opposite of what I would imagine for what you were learning as a violin player? Was that just the music you were interested in? You wanted to kind of go that route, or like what drew you to guitar?
Yeah, I think it was like, you know, growing up in like a really small town, just the escapism of like, you know, pop punk where it's like, I gotta get out of this town, man. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
really resonated with me at the time. No, I was just, yeah, I went through a lot of years where I was like really obsessed with any sort of like punk metal music, but also at the same time I was becoming really obsessed with like big synth like dance songs. So it really had the two sides of my personality, which was very sad and very happy. But yeah, I think I just really wanted to, you know, go in a really opposite direction from the classical world, because everything is so like rigorous and like you can't do anything creative in that. Well, you know, to a certain extent, like you have to play exactly as it's written and you can interpret it in your own way, but it has to be like super precise. And I think I was just really attracted to like making something from nothing and creating, you know, your own music that portrayed how you feel instead of somebody else's work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really resonate with that as well. I grew up playing classical piano, and I really distinctly remember when Coldplay had released, I got really into Coldplay, and I was just, all I want to do is write songs like this. I'm sick of playing the same classical pieces on piano. So I think that pop kind of sideswipes all of that, you know, training.
Yeah, sure. It's like you're hearing things on the radio or watching on TV, and it's like, oh, I want to play that. Like I'm kind of sick of the scales and the how, you know, formal
So
classical music can get.
Now, though, I think we're all really grateful that we kind of, and our parents encouraged us to kind of do the hard yards at that young age. It's really helpful, but not the same kind of passion that we have for pop music, for sure.
Sure. So Lauren, you said you are from Sydney. Is that what Miranda said?
I'm from Brisbane.
Oh, Brisbane. Okay. So you also grew up in a musical household?
Not in the same way as the girls did. I think my parents appreciate music, but I didn't grow up, no, they weren't really musicians. And there was just kind of a fundamental belief in my house that you played a sport and you learnt an instrument. So I learnt the piano, and most of my upbringing was pretty down the line what the radio was playing, pop music. And I think I was always really fascinated by how it kind of came together. I really distinctly remember someone saying, oh, you know, this song has like all these different parts in it. Can you hear all the different instruments in it? And my mind was just blown by that, because I think the point at which you realize that music is not just one thing, it's many, many things all happening at the same time. I just thought that was so crazy and complicated. And then I started doing production type stuff when I was an early teenager on GarageBand. And that's when I kind of, it was like uncovering a great mystery. Realizing, especially working with vocals, the way that vocals are layered and doing harmonies and that kind of thing, it was just so exciting to finally figure out how music was made.
Sure.
So that was kind of the thing that like really captivated my attention and focus after I finished school. And now I do production for the band, and I kind of pursued a career as a top liner for a little bit, but then was kind of pursuing a career as a producer before the band started.
Okay. And it sounds like all three of you write songs, or at one point were pursuing kind of an individual songwriter journey. like when Lauren, when you and Miranda met, you were playing what, like your own kind of singer-songwriter thing? Like, were you like, I mean, you kind of explained that you met doing that. Like, what was that like? How long were you both doing that kind of individually? And then I'm curious, Jade, as well, with you, were you doing something similar to like open mics or anything? Is that what you guys were performing at, or like what was that like prior to all three of you meeting up?
So our solo projects, I guess we had kind of different experiences, but are quite similar in the sense that like they were all solo projects. They were all kind of pop/electronic focused. Yeah, I think that it was not like, I don't think we expected that we would one day form a band and go down the path that we've gone down, which has been such, you know, an exciting change for us all. Yeah, our solo projects form the foundation of this band. And I think that we're all really grateful, especially like, it was so cool to meet the other girls and share our stories and experiences and realize that we have actually done a lot of the same stuff in the last few years. But yeah, my solo projects I had for about 6 or 7 years. It kind of carried me from high school out into the music industry. I think it's kind of the same for you.
Yeah,
guys,
same
right?
for us.
So you were all just kind of pursuing that individually, and then eventually once everyone kind of got together, that's when the band formed.
Yeah, we were all playing shows with our own projects and playing different, like venues and festivals. And
We did
We
tours
actually-
and stuff as well. Like those projects were, you know, doing all right.
Yeah, it was very
Oh wow.
deep. We all come from a pretty DIY background, which is why I think we worked so well together as a band as well. Like we were all releasing music independently for, like you said, about 6 or 7 years. Like I was doing covers gigs to fund putting my music out independently. So I was singing like, 4 or 5 nights a week for many years when I was putting music out. And I think we've all had the experience of like having to oversee every creative thing in the project as well, all of the visuals, all of the like release, stuff, just the whole creative direction of the thing. Being a solo artist, like you just have so much passion for every little aspect of it. And when we knew each other like through the music scene, I listened to everybody's music, and just when we came together for that first session, we didn't really have the intention of becoming a band. We just knew that we liked the same kind of pop music and had a similar taste, and I think we just didn't realize exactly how similar it was and how complementary all of our ways of working are together, which is why we had that first session and we were like, this is a band, like this is a band now. We have to do this.
Yeah, I could think it could have went two ways, I would imagine, because since all of you were songwriters and pursuing music and solo careers and releasing stuff, like Miranda, your way might have been different than Jade's, different than Lauren's, and then when you get together, it's like, no, this is how you do it. No, like it sounds like you were all able to kind of work very well together instead of having kind of that back and forth, like bickering, I guess.
I think we'd all had experiences of like collaborating in general, which I think really helps. And there's nothing better than finding creative collaborators who are just so on the same page from the get-go and have that really, same taste in music and that kind of thing. But you can have the same taste in music as someone and them not be a good listener or not get along with them socially.
Right.
And I think that in this band, and in that first session, we just kind of clicked on all these different levels, socially and humor-wise, and we all loved, this random B-side from a Kesha album or something. So it's also it's a pretty tight-knit community, the Australian music industry. Like I think that it was pretty amazing to find people that knew the kind of really niche music that I was obsessed with and were equally obsessed with it. It was pretty exciting. It still is.
Sure. So from that first writing session, did you all write a song and were like, oh, and how does a conversation start to form the band? Is it, oh, we should all get together and write again, and then a couple sessions down the line, let's just start a band? Like, how did that kind of come together?
Yeah, we got together and wrote our first song together, which was Softly Spoken, which ended up being
Oh, wow.
something that we put out together as well. It was love at first song, and we but it was such a fun experience. We were like sitting around and talking about this artist. Do you remember the name of the artist, the exhibition?
Oh no. Sorry.
I think, yeah, she had this exhibition where all of these women were analyzing this email, this breakup email she received with this guy who was breaking up with her, and she turned it into an art exhibition, and we were just, kind of obsessing over it. And we, it kind of led to writing the song and, looking into our own journals, and sort of that love and friendship, sort of female friendship, and writing about that experience, and like having each other's backs and kind of analyzing each other's texts and figuring it out together. And that was what fueled that first song. And with the band name, I had a note in a notebook that just said Blusher, and it was originally the idea for like a song title or something, but we saw it and instantly just loved the visual aspect of that word, and just what it represents as like wearing your emotions on your face out in the open. And that association with blushing and also makeup blush, and whether that's being like just feeling intensely love, or like, anger, excitement, it represents a lot of those emotions.
Mm-hmm. And with with Softly Spoken, you said that was the first song you all wrote together. It was right away, right? And then that song does well, like you get, validated from Triple J, which is massive, right? Especially if you're in Australia, like to get them to kind of give a nod to your band, that's a huge accomplishment. Like, what was that like, and how did that all happen? Did you put the song up online and then somebody found it? Like, do you know?
Yeah, I think because we were all doing our solo projects, and we'd also just, being in Melbourne over lockdown, we'd had a pretty rough experience of like losing so much work over the past 2 years, and just being a bit bummed about music in general. And it was just coming out of that and really getting stuck back into our solo careers. When we had this session, we didn't really have like the expectation of forming a band. And I think when we put the song out, we also didn't really have a high expectation. Like, we were just like, we're just doing this for ourselves. We're just doing it for fun. It's more of a love of the process. And we love this song and we just want to put it out. We'll just like put it out independently. Put it out independently and go back to like grinding on our solo projects and just do this as like a fun outlet on the side. And I think, we didn't really expect to get so much validation from that first song. Triple J, and we met our managers through that as well. Somebody sent our manager the song just like, I don't know, a couple of days before it came out. And then we were at a writing camp that our friend organized, which was just a bunch of like female songwriters got an Airbnb by the beach together, and we were at that when the song came out. And Lauren, we took a call with our manager that day.
Yeah, basically like we just kind of wrote the song and put it out straight away. I was like mid breakup as I was working on the song, so I was like just so keen to be in Ableton all the time. And we kind of knew the ropes of how to put music out. We knew that we needed nice press photos and some nice assets and a name, and like we wrote 1 or 2 other songs during that time, but we we pumped it out really quickly. And so when it kind of got traction and got attention, it was everything since that song has come out has been absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like all the support from Triple J was the first thing, and then when our managers came on board, that was a real game changer. I think we like feel like they are our kind of soulmates in the same way that we feel like each other are soulmates, and that led to so much more support from the industry in general. It was all pretty unexpected.
Yeah, but in hindsight, kind of
Makes sense though.
it makes
Right.
sense. I feel like if I was, I don't know, like we want to make music for the girls, by the girls, but you know, anyone can be a hot girl. It's just a state of mind. But you know, we just want to make music that we as listeners would want to hear. And I think looking back, like if I was to see this band and just like the female friendships and hear that in the music as well, I would be like, hell yeah, that's amazing. So I see it.
It's not, yeah, like even though it was unexpected, it's not as though the band didn't have vision and didn't have a lot of kind of grounding in our musicality. I think the most, and this still stands, like the most important thing to us is just that the songs are amazing and the songs that are exciting to us.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of goal to make great music coupled with the vision of kind of like working with women and supporting our friends, it does make sense that people
Yeah, it wasn't like an accident. I mean, it was, you know, you guys got together. It wasn't an accident that the songs are good because you had been grinding and doing this for a long time anyway. It wasn't like, oh, let's try to write a song and then it gets all this attention. It's like you had the basis already there for a number of years, and it just took you know, maybe the three of you getting together to get it to really, you know, get to that next level. So you had more than just that one song. Like I would imagine like having that song and then it's doing really well, you're like, oh, like this is working, let's continue doing what we're doing. Did you have to kind of like jump on that? Were you like, okay, this is now a band, like for sure, and this is going to be the main focus?
Yeah, I think we just like strapped in to and like embraced the whirlwind around us, and we just wanted to just get in the studio pretty much every day or as much as we could to just write more and more music. And we ended up having some sessions with some other producers and going to spend some time in Sydney to do some stints. And but we found like a lot of the songs that we had written over that time, our favorite ones were the ones that we wrote in our little bubble of the three of us as well. And
Was Dead End one of those songs from the three of you together as well?
Dead End was one that we ended up coming out of a session in Sydney with Robbie Des.
Okay.
And we had come in that day. I think we'd like watched some Coldplay or some other sort of references, but we were just sharing these nostalgic experiences of our first nights out as young rebels, and and it sort of led to this story about Miranda using a fake ID to get into places and then like crying when it didn't work, and and just like talk the different roles in like a group of we sort of had this vision for a group of three protagonist women on a night out, and you know, like the troublemaker or the wide-eyed romantic, and everyone kind of going on these different journeys on a night out, but as a whole.
It's really cool that we all also have our little verses in there, because we're all singers and we all come from being the main singer on most of the songs that we've worked on. It's really cool to like, when we're writing the lyrics, think about who is going to sing which part and like what lyrics feel authentic to each of us. And so I think that song yeah, one of the things I really like about it is that it has our different kind of characters. Like your verse kind of sets things up really well, and then I just tell my story about being a young idiot at the club. And then Lauren's verse, when it comes in, is like a big crush, you know, confession moment. And it's cool to have that combination of, I don't know, our personalities really embedded into the lyrics of the song and the writing process as well.
Mhm. No, I think that's super cool because you are all songwriters and singers and had your own things going. But it rarely do you hear three vocals in that way, right? I mean, in like, you know, Lauren has her verse and Jade and Miranda, that you all sing your own piece instead of like, okay, this song Miranda wrote and you're gonna sing the whole thing and maybe the other two will do backups, or then this is Jade's song and she's gonna sing the whole thing. It's like you all have your own pieces within the song, which is really unique.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun for us, and it's a lot of fun for me in particular because I just love working with vocals, and I love turning the girls' vocals into like every instrument in the production as well. So there's a lot to play with, but that's also the reason why it was so great to why it is so great to collaborate with other producers. Sometimes I find that I really gravitate towards working with vocals, working with synths. And on this song, Robbie is just such an amazing guitarist that I feel like that added a kind of different element, and we learned a lot from that. So I think that's part of the vision for the band as well, not just like, obviously we want to spend a lot of time writing by ourselves, but we also just want to learn how to make better pop music and work with amazing people who can teach us to become better. So I think that, yeah, this song is a real, I don't know, good example of that collaborative relationship making a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Like the songs moving forward, is it similar where you all have a verse on a song, or will it be different depending on what record it is?
I think the songs that we have kind of planned coming out in the near future are all like that. We all get a moment in each song, and I think like when we're writing, we are always in the room together basically for every song that we've written so far over the last year, and it's super duper collaborative. And I think we don't want it to feel like, oh, this is a McCartney song and this is a Lennon song, and you can really tell the difference. Everything to feel like a Blosher song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you guys are like, it's like Wu-Tang where everyone has their own verse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are.
But it is
No,
fun.
that's cool.
I know. So I was just going to add on to that. It is really fun though when we do combine and layer our voices into this blob, and it's a very unique thing as well that we couldn't have done in our own projects or whatever. It's just like this. It was very exciting when we first did that. We just put them all on top of each other, and it was like you couldn't quite pick out who was who. It just blended very perfectly, which I guess was another very lucky thing about our voice, the blend of them.
We call that like the fourth. That's
the fourth member.
So each one of you will have a verse, and then all of you together on a verse. I like that.
But it is, we are quite intentional about that too. Like my voice can have a lot of air in it, and sometimes I sing with a lot of air. And when that's combined with Jade's voice, Jade has a lot of experience doing top lines for kind of EDM and dance tracks, and Miranda's voice that has more of that warm mid-range tone. It, like mix wise, we
cover all the
kind
bases.
of make sense of it.
Yeah. Well, like and when it comes to like a live setting or playing live together, was that an adjustment, playing not as okay, like this is my song, I'm gonna play, you know, just me here, and now with three people and everyone's kind of you have to manage kind of your own part. Was that a change?
Way more fun this way.
Okay.
Yeah, and getting to interact with each other, but it's really nice to sort of take turns with those moments of our verses, and when we come to sing together and swapping instruments, and we also have a bit of choreography and dance moves that there are moments when it's time to just like break out and with our wireless mics and dance, and there's times where we're playing the synth and the bass, and we really put a lot of thought and effort into our show craft and trying to create a really fun blusher experience where the crowd can feel like they've entered the blusher world and like they're part of the band. And that was really fun to dream up the live show together.
No, go ahead. Sorry, Lauren.
I think a big part of putting the show together was making sure that we all had an equal amount of attention and an equal amount of like vocal kind of like work to do, but also like playing instruments and that kind of thing, because we all play keys and we all play guitar and bass. So I think that half of the work of putting the show together was just figuring out who goes where and who sings what.
Oh, right.
But once we figured that out, it's so much more fun to play with other people. And I really love like being on stage and looking at one of the girls as they're singing their part and just fangirling. Like I get to see, you know, my best friends perform right next to me. It's so cool.
That is awesome. And you said you have like choreographed dance parts, or were you all dancers at one point, or who's coming up with the choreography? Like, how did that work?
We want it to be choreography that everyone can do, even if they are not like us. So it's pretty, we kind of, the ideas came from us, and then we took them to a movement coach, and we were like, are these any good? Like, should we just scrap everything? And she was like, no, these are great. You know, I think it just really stems out of the energy of the song and the lyrics. And it's also something that we want the crowd to be able to like pick up after the first chorus, and next time it comes around they can like, you know, do the moves with us. So, but no, we don't really well, do you guys have a dancing background?
I definitely don't have a dancing background. But our movement coach Zoe is amazing at her job. She did such a good job of making us feel really comfortable with, you know, doing more choreography on stage than we've ever done in our solo projects, and helping us with that kind of staging of the whole thing. And I think that's been a big part of making the band work, is just collaborating with the right people, and she's definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it seems like such a different experience for all three of you when it comes to this, because it's not only are you not doing the project by yourself, you got two other people, and then you're trading off parts, and not only that, you have dance moves, and everything's kind of coming together as like this whole unit. And if it wasn't for every moving piece has to kind of come together to make the project work.
Yeah, we also put a lot of effort into making a set that was pretty seamless. Like, because we produced the songs ourselves, it meant that we could do a lot of kind of transitions and outros and intros, so that it's just one long song basically. And I think that that's kind of our pop music instinct. We don't want a dull moment ever.
I like that. Yeah, so there's ins and outs of the songs. It all kind of like tails into the next song, and you know what's going to happen, like a full-on show, instead of, okay, we're going to stop, we're going to tune here, banter, what do you guys want to play? Okay, we'll do that. It's like, it sounds like it's all pretty tight.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of had to be.
Yeah. A lot of comfort in having it be so kind of rehearsed.
Yeah. Well, do you have two songs out now? Just those two, correct? And then obviously you have more if you're doing a whole show, but moving forward, do you are you going to put out like an album, an EP, like what, or just kind of continue doing the way you guys have been doing with the singles? Oh.
I'm allowed to announce here, but we have a collection of songs, a small but mighty collection of songs that might be packaged up into something in a certain way. Yeah. maybe Paige can tell us. Yes, we've been working towards a body of work.
Rad. Amazing. Well, I appreciate your time today. Thank you all so much for coming and chatting with me. This has been awesome.
Yes.
Thank you, Adam. So good
Yeah.
to talk.
I have one more question. I want to get, if I can get an answer from each one of you individually, that'd be amazing. If you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Oh. Ooh. Who wants to go first? I think aspiring artists.
I can go first.
Yeah. Do you want to take it first?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's just all about who you work with. It's all about the people, and the more than like the passion for music itself, I have a passion for like friendship and having a nice time with people. So I think that, yeah, the biggest help and game changer of my career has been finding good collaborators, which is easier said than done, but yeah, if you get the right people around, you're all good.
Yeah, I think on that note, being true to exactly who you are and what you want to make, and not being ashamed of, say, your tastes or whatever your guilty pleasures are with music, and like the music that if you are so true to what you want to make, then the people that you're meant to work with will be able to find you that way. And also not to compare yourself too much to other artists, and your best work is going to look very different to someone else's best, and it's all, there's room for everybody.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with, well, both of you guys, but like, just don't let anyone tell you what you should be making or how you should be or who you have to be as a person to make it or anything like that. But I think my advice that I would give is just like, don't stop. And I would use this to, I guess, keep going when I was having tough times trying to get anything happening with my music, is the people who make it are just the ones that have enough passion and drive to just keep going through the hard times. And I think as long as you just keep working and keep improving, something amazing is going to happen, and it might not be in the way that you expect. So,
and it might not be when you expect either.
It's not going to be when you expect. Yeah, but also just, maybe don't pigeonhole yourself into like a certain expectation of how things are going to go. Just allow yourself to be a creative and be an artist, even if there's nobody looking yet. Just do what you want to do, and someone will hear it one day. Just keep going. Bringing it back.